welcome to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone.
There's a silence screaming in the dark.
of points, and you cannot lose big when the field is as small as you cannot. We won't have enough races ahead of you to really rebound, which is going to be tough, I think, for a majority of the field, especially on the fact that the 2 races after tonight, we've got North Wilkesboro and then Homestead, 2 tracks that are not going to be very easy with this style vehicle.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to be very easy with this style of vehicle. I think Homestead's probably going to be closer to their easier style of racing. But North Wilkesboro, that is going to be very exciting to race to watch. And I think out of all the races that we've seen so far in this chase for the championship, I think North Wilkesboro could definitely be the wild card that can completely change the points layout.
We'll take a closer look at the points after qualifying, but tonight's race is going to be 160 laps. This will be the 8th time that the WSSR has come to Charlotte Motor Speedway. And the last time we were here was last season. Vincent Sora found his way into victory lane, leading 76 laps of 167. But this 1.5-mile course certainly is going to have a lot of factors to watch out for. One of those being the track temp, which is on the cooler side of things compared to the last couple of weeks. It's at 91 degrees Fahrenheit, ambient air temperature at 84 degrees. The wind's on the lower side of things. We'll see how things change heading into qualifying. But looking at the stats, no driver who has ever gotten the pole they've never won here at Charlotte. So even getting the pole here tonight might be a bonus point, but it might not grant you the win that a lot of drivers are hoping for. So this is going to make qualifying fun for us to watch, as tonight drivers will have 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap, but only 2 laps to do so. You touch the wall, touch the grass, your lap will be invalidated, as drivers are just about to get on track and ready for qualifying. But Richard, I think that's an interesting factor, the fact that every race that we've ran here at Charlotte, of the 7 in the past, no pole sitter has ever won here.
That's a very interesting fact, but I think with the driver that we statistically can see that pull off tonight, Jake Nichols in the field, he could be one of the first drivers to be able to do that. And I mean, he's done it many a times this season already. I mean, if anybody can break that stat right there, that's the driver that could potentially do it tonight.
Certainly is one of the favorites, especially when it comes to the pole. Jake Nichols, of the 15 races that he has started, 7 poles for himself so far this season. The next closest is Brian McCann with 4. Last driver to grab a pole was last week of John Forbes at the Legacy Texas course. As drivers are out on track, it is go time for qualifying, as first couple of laps about to be trickling in. And first time on the board going to be Vincent Sora in the 15, and Vincent Sora trying to continue on, hoping to win and become the second driver to win 2 times at this track. Those 2 other drivers being Cedric Hunter and Larry Yingling. They've both won twice here at Charlotte in previous seasons, as Ben Guinea now going to be the new driver, top of the board after the first laps being put down. I just want to say thank you to those in chat that are just joining us and in chatting out there, as Vincent Sora's second lap, it is a 29.556. His time to beat, as the rest of the field is getting rolling right now.
That's impressive time from Vincent Soro. Seems like the second lap will be the fastest lap so far for these drivers. Thomas Green, his second lap coming in a little faster as well, to 29.748. Still 2/10 off the lead. Right around right now with Ollie Fonseca. He's running around with his second lap, trying to get it locked down. See what he can pull off. It's going to be a slower lap, so some drivers able to get faster lap out of the second one. Ollie Fonseca, not one of them. But Chuck Sweeting moves up to the second place with a 29.7, still almost 2/10 of a second off, as John Forbes moving to second with a 29.6.
Coming up just a little over 400ths of a second off that pole time. Cedric Hunter going to be ripping the top. But I think the main driver to watch for has to be Jake Nichols, who's just about to be rolling off a pit road, as Cedric Hunter crossing the line for his lap. First lap for the 13 is hoping for a quick one. And a lot of the drivers were trying to figure out, do you want to run the inside lane, the outside? Some drivers will find success on the outside groove just off the middle seam. Others were finding success on the inside, and it's really on who can carry the most momentum, where obviously the inside lane cutting down on that distance of the track, but the amount of speed is on the outside. Speaking of speed, Gavin Rogers in the one machine taking the pole spot from Vincent Sora.
Speaking to Gavin a little earlier today, this track kind of matches his driving style. He likes a very loose setup, and this car is very loose at Charlotte tonight. So this could really play into Gavin Rogers' driving set here. He tends to like these loose setups on these cars, and that proves it right there, leading the field by 0.04 of a second with a 29.520 over that of Vincent Sora.
And what makes that lap even more impressive, it was on his first lap. Half the field's been finding their speed on the second lap. Half have been finding on the first. And it's the first lap for the 1 machine. The 8 machine, the Brian McCann, going to be coming up shy in second place. But here's the driver trying to make the march for his 8th pole of the season. Jake Nichols in the 73. Be right on board as he's about to be finishing his second lap. Just showing, carrying the outside speed through 1 and 2, dropping low through 3 and 4. The counter steer is already in play, coming out of the exit of turn number 4, and this looks to be a good lap. Crossing the quad oval and across the line. Is it the pole for Jake Nichols? And it's just 5/1000ths of a second shy. Second place for the 73. Third place for Jarrett Talmadge, and they're both just about 5/1000ths of a second off the pole for the both second and third.
A tied time for both Jake Nichols and Jarrett Talmadge, both at 29.525. I think iRacing plays the points a little bit, gives Jake Nichols the advantage there. We're right along now with Douglas Dubig, another driver we see with a lot of speed generally. He's running a little higher than we've seen the other guys running, so we'll have to see what his lap time is going to be on his second lap. First lap was the 29.8, not going to be any faster. Douglas Dubig is going to have to settle for a 14th position start tonight.
A ridiculous qualifying run. Our top 7 all within 1/10 to each other. A wildly quick setup that these drivers have and trying to maximize their speed. We cannot believe where they put this speed down, but Gavin Rogers getting it done as he will grab himself a pole here this evening. And for Rogers, who notoriously was known as the driver who'd get poles a lot when he first joined the WSSR Cup Series, will take that pole here tonight. Going to be his first of the season. And with the driver who's been struggling with qualifying, Richard, I got to say, Gavin's got to be thrilled with that run that he just had.
Oh, yeah, Gavin's definitely got to be extremely happy with that. I know for the majority of this season, he has been complaining, trying to figure out where his speed was, has not been able to figure out this car. And I think ever since he finally got his win at Auto Club, his consistency, his strength that we've seen him have has returned with some ferocity as he's been able to pull off the pole tonight. We'll have to see if he can hold that strong, though, and, you know, continue his long-run pace that we've seen him have ever so well.
Gonna try to continue through as here's gonna be our schedule so far this season. Crazy to say, we've got tonight and then 2 more races and we're done with season 12. But it has been an incredible season of multiple different winners, pole sitters. But the driver who's won the most, who's gotten the pole the most, Jake Nichols, shockingly, is not the points leader entering into tonight. But after last week's running, Ryan Kelly has been the driver on fire. He is going to be entering into tonight as your points leader. It's crazy to see how this chase has kind of evolved. I think it was expected that it was going to be a Jake Nichols just running away show, but it has been completely different with seeing Ryan Kelly, Gavin Rogers winning out these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it has been impressive to see these guys finally able to take the game and put it towards Jake Nichols, able to straight up beat him, like even a little bit of strategy call. There was a few cautions late in the race last week, but it almost played more into the favor of Jake Nichols, honestly. But these drivers, they've really been able to find the speed with this Legacy Gen 4 car and able to show Jake Nichols that he is not the only driver here wanting to win the championship.
He certainly is not the only one. And here are the point standings entering tonight. Again, we got tonight's race and 2 more after this. So the points can obviously shift. And Sook is going to become the champion of season 12, but it's Ryan Kelly off of his 2 wins and finishing second. That last 2 weeks ago at Auto Club, he has been the front runner in points to start the chase off. Then you've got Jarrett Talmadge 3 points back. 5 points back from Ryan Kelly is Jake Nichols. Then it kind of falls off a cliff into the double digits. You got Brian McCann 13 points back. 14 points is John Force. Vincent Sora then 25 points. Cedric Hunter going to be 29 points back. Same with Chris Ditz. it's just has been kind of rough for a lot of the drivers from about 6th on back in points that really need to kind of step up. Tonight is their night to do it, but they also need a little bit of help from our top 3, top 4 drivers to have a mistake here tonight to kind of give a chance and a second life for those back markers of our top 16 in points.
Yeah, these drivers have got to hope for some kind of misfortune from the top half of the chase contenders here. I mean, Gavin Rogers, he dropped 4 positions. We got Cedric Hunter, had a great week last week, up 4 positions from his. And this is the first time since, I think, week 3, Jake Nichols has not been at the top of the points. That's impressive to see. Ryan Kelly and Jarrett Talmadge really showing out this second half of the season as well. But, I mean, yeah, drivers like Ollie Fonseca, Jan Van Leer, Chuck Sweeting, Douglas Newbigging even, they've got to hope for some misfortune from these top runners to have a chance while they're having a good day.
Yeah, and I think Ollie Fonseca is going to be that driver in my mind to watch out for. But here's going to be some of the other drivers for us to watch out for. Here's going to be our pick'ems, and we talked about them before qualifying. In our picks, it's the same driver, Jarrett Talmadge. He's the one to watch out for. He has been ending second fiddle a lot to start the chase off. He was tied with the lead in points at last week before that race was over at Texas. Richard, what's kind of your mindset on why you decided to pick Jarrett Talmadge?
Jarrett Talmadge, we've really seen a lot of speed and a lot of late run pace for Jarrett Talmadge. He's been able to catch the front runners after being down quite a few seconds. He's making the right strategy calls for the pit cycle. He's just doing everything right, and he's always just ever so slightly not quite there. But I think tonight could be the night that he finally gets it done.
We'll see if the 27 can finally get his first win of season 12. And happening at a track that's not a super speedway honestly would make him even more thrilled to get for that 27 machine. But for tonight, we do want to say thank you to all of the sponsors that are tagged along for season 12. First and foremost, we want to say thank you to Elwood Designs for being the title sponsor. They've been around in the iRacing community since 2012, and then they love helping out the iRacing community to give you your own abilities to make your own custom schemes. They've got baseline schemes that you can purchase off of Elwood Designs on Facebook, X, and as well, you can go look them up on simrapmarket.com at the /simrapmarket.com/designer/Alan Elwood, or on X. You can find Elwood Designs there, or you can go on Facebook and look up Alan Elwood Design. Look up Elwood Designs there. Alan Elwood's been a great sponsor to have for this season. We also want to say thank you to our qualifying sponsor, being Lucky Duck Motorsports. Lucky Duck Motorsports brought in a ton of drivers this season, and they love to bring in tons of rewards for the drivers as well. Cash prizes for your finishes, also the ways that you have your results throughout a race. Go check out on how you can be a part of Lucky Duck Motorsports on their team, as well as the great sponsors that they love to be promoting. You can check out all the great sponsors that Lucky Ducks is a part of on X at We Are Lucky Ducks, and on Instagram at Lucky Duck Motorsports. Thank you so much to Lucky Ducks and everything that they've done in the iRacing community and beyond. As their driver up front, it's a Lucky Duck Motorsports lockout for the front row, technically our top 3, as Gavin Rogers grabs his first pole of the season. Let's see if he can carry that on into victory lane as the 1 starts in that first spot. To his outside, Jake Nichols trying to get back into the win column to get his first win in the chase, which could march him back into the points lead. But first, he's got to find a way to get by the guy in third. That's Jarrett Talmadge, who is currently second in points, starting third here tonight. Not a bad position to be. Brian McCann, this is his race. He needs a win. He needs to close the gap, and he'll be starting fourth here this evening. Fifth position, we find the 15 of Vincent Sora, and the driver who is on the hot streak, entering tonight as your points leader in 6th. It's the 3 of Ryan Kelly. John Force will be starting 7th for the number 7, with Cedric Hunter back in 8th position. Chuck Sweeting back in 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 31 of Thomas Green.
All right, back in the row 6 is going to be Brian Noel in the 11th position, with Jan Van Leer starting just outside him in 12th. Larry Yingling in the 67 machine starting back in 13th, with Douglas Newbigging starting to his outside in 14th. Ben Keeney and Ollie Fonseca round out row 8 in 15th and 16th position, and Zach Hall, not putting a qualifying lap down, will start in last in 17th.
I know Zach's not feeling the most confident, especially during practice. He wasn't really finding that speed. It's kind of been just entering into these races of let's just have fun. mentality. We hope that he enjoys his time here at Charlotte. Tonight's race is going to be 160 laps in total. No stage break going to be given out for these drivers. So we have the chance of going from the start to the finish all the way green, as well as no fast repair. 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. But like you noted on Richard, it is loose out there on track.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers, they were complaining that it was loose, but all of a sudden the car can get tight as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys manage that with the tire wear as well. That could be a huge factor later in the runs in this race.
Race number 4 of the chase out of 6 races, season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. It's been the Ryan Kelly and Jared Talmadge show, really to start the chase off. The question is, who can stop him? Jake Nichols was the dominator of the regular season. How will he evolve? Well, let's find out. Race 4 underway into the restart zone. We are green here at Charlotte. Gavin Rogers, Jake Nichols, and the rest of the field roar up and head down into turn number 1.
Great start for Gavin Rogers, able to get completely clear of the number 73 machine, or I'm sorry, the 73 machine on the outside. He heads out to about a 3-car length lead coming out of 2 as he leads them down the backstretch. A lot of single file racing right off the bat, not a lot of 2-wide racing, but they're almost trying to get around Brian McCann, as McCann is roaring on the outside, coming out of 4 to try to get around the 27 as Gavin leads lap 1.
Lap 1, another bonus point for the number 1 machine. And Gavin Rogers trying to carry on a tradition of multiple drivers here in the WSSR Cup Series, able to go back to back. It started off with Larry Yingling doing it back in season 2 and 3. Then Vincent Sora did it in season 4 and 5. Then Benjamin Nelson then came around and was able to go back to back in season 7 and 8. Haven't seen it since then, but the one would love to resurge himself forward and be a driver that can attach himself to the history books here in the WSSR Cup Series. But looking behind him, Jake Nichols just giving up that position immediately back into second place. I think a great restart by the 1 machine. But the 73 kind of doing what he did last week, backing off, saving the tires. But going to be the 8 machine of Brian McCann. He doesn't want to wait any longer, already up to second place.
Ryan McCann is making the moves, trying to get up to the front, get some laps led as well. Those are some extra bonus points for himself. And yeah, Jake Nichols, he's kind of just hanging back, driving it more conservative, doing pretty much what we saw Gavin Rogers and other drivers do also. Just follow around the guy in front of you, see what they're doing, see if you can't make the moves and wait for their mistake, or let them burn their tires up first. Learn from what they're doing in front of you. So Brian McCann, on the other hand, he is doing everything he can to move his way to the front. But Gavin Rogers, he is trying to maximize the amount of points that he could possibly get tonight, because he has got a hard mountain to climb in front of him for a points championship.
And for those that weren't here when I gave out the stat, driver that gets the pole has yet to win here at Charlotte in the history books of the WSSR over the last 7 races. Pole sitter has never gone to victory lane. Could this be the time for the 1 machine? Well, the 8 says otherwise. Brian McCann now going to be taking over that lead position. And the last time we ran this track and car combo, it was this driver that got into victory lane. Brian McCann only led 9 laps that race, 9 out of 158 laps. Tonight, let's get ahead early for the 8 machine, and McCann really settling in to where he was in the middle of the regular season when he was really competing with Jake Nichols, and that's get up front, learn this vehicle in clean air, and try to defend this position as much as possible.
Yeah, Brian McCann really showed a lot of pace early, or about mid of the season, like you were saying. He was one of the first drivers that we had saw actually make a green flag pass on the number 73 machine that did involve pit stops. But we jump back here now, the 00 and the number 10, Jan Van Leer and Brian Noel, they're side by side racing for their position back here for the top 10. Does 00 might get around him. A quick blink out from Brian Noel, though. He looks like he might have his connection issues.
Brian Noel wants to make sure those get cleaned up. The 00 did not have a great couple of weeks. He's hoping to get a race where he can finish it out here tonight. And as well, riding on board the 77 of Douglas Newbigging, a couple of Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers lingering in the back just outside of the top 10. But just trying to get a handful of this vehicle, of this track. You know, talk about how it's going to be loose, it's going to be a handful, and then it's going to start to tighten up we've seen it a lot with us converting over to this legacy ARCA car. It has been kind of fun to see the counter steering, the looseness, drivers really having to wheel these machines to maximize their speed, but at what cost of their handling are they willing to get abrasive with? As you hop on board with Cedric Hunter and kind of get a sense of what it's like in the mid-pack. This is battling back for 10th, 11th, and 12th currently, and the counter steering for the 13 as we take the ride around for one lap with Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see here. I mean, we're driving asphalt oval type racing, and you kind of expect that steering wheel to be pointed more left when you're going through these turns. But because of how loose this setup is and the amount of power these cars, these Legacy Gen 4 cars, put to those back wheels, as you can see, he's got to start turning to the right to keep that car going as straight as possible. It's what we call the counter steer. The tires are spinning so much in the back that they want to step out, so you got to turn the front wheels the opposite direction, keep that car straight and stable as you get out of the turn.
It is such a tricky ability to do. It is not something that's easy that you just pick up immediately. That is just pure talent if you're able to do that immediately. It is a skill that takes a lot of time and effort, and that's why we're seeing some of the best up front able to hold their positions while other drivers are just in survival mode in the mid-pack. 10 laps in, still green at this moment, which is something that can happen here at Charlotte. We've had a wide spree of ways that these races can go in the past. On average, we have anywhere from 3 to 4 cautions being thrown. The most we've ever had was 8 last season when they were running the Gen 7 machine. And then we've had the least of just 1 caution being thrown. That was back in Season 7, where Larry Yingling was able to get his 2nd win here at Charlotte in his career. See if he maybe can sneak his way forward with some crazy strategy. The 67 always is trying to be cooking up here in the WSSR Cup Series, as drivers are primarily in line for a quick second, but up front might be starting to see a change of guard, and that's Thomas Green in the 31 trying to put the pressure on Brian McCann as he's trying to find an opening to move high or low, and as well other movement going on back for 7th place is Vincent Sora in the 15. With that battle for the lead, it's on the 31, the pink machine trying to get to the inside.
Thomas Green got his nose to the inside of the great machine of Brian McCann. Let's see if he can get the run, get that car up to speed on the exit. They're not able to do it. Brian McCann's able to complete or defend that position, get out in front of the 31. The 31's got to try to find the momentum and try another attack. But he's going to have to fall behind and get back out of the bumper of the number 8 machine and kind of relinquish his attempt to get the lead.
As all the drivers trying to find a way to get into their motion here. It's the 8 of Brian McCann just trying to continue to defend over Thomas Green. Jake Nichols lingering now almost a second back from our leader. It really doesn't look to be any type of zone where he wants to attack immediately. Here's going to be our weather conditions. Now we saw at the end of practice the air temperature was up to 84, now down to 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp still around that 90 area. Wind is still very low, and it's just going to be the track temp. How does that evolve as this race progresses into the nighttime conditions, as we are entering sunset mode, and this track will start to move around just like the cars are currently.
Yeah, this track will definitely change once the lights come on and the sun is completely gone. This track will drastically change in how these drivers will have to drive it. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. As you see Thomas Green, he's making the move to the outside to try to get around the 8 machine. He will lead that lap as he is now the leader of this race.
And that's how you can utilize the outside line, as well as utilizing the seam, that black marker line in the middle of the track. That is kind of the showing of a loose spot on the track. If you're kind of straddling that line, you can get the rear end kicked out just a little bit more, and that's what the 31 did, trying to get that rear end pointed straight off the exit, maximize the outside run. And Thomas Green utilizing the outside to take the lead position, almost up to 3/10 already on the 8. And what a charge to take that top position. As now Brian McCann attempting his way to build up the speed and make a charge back to that top spot. But if drivers further on back still running the inside groove and just showing the difference. Our top 2 willing to use up some of their rubber, while everyone else just trying to save their tires for that long run.
Yeah, I mean, we see these two guys up front, Thomas Green, Brad McCann. They're both like out just kind of running away from the field right now, and they're fighting each other for that position. But you see drivers like Gavin Rogers, he has fallen back down to 5th position. You got Vince Asora, he's dropped down to 8th. These guys have fallen back to try and save their tires. And we've seen this dance before. We've seen drivers give up their higher position that they qualified in to save a little bit of tires, have a little bit more life in them further in the run, and then we see them slowly start to catch the guys that wanted to just get out there in front as quick as possible. So, I mean, it's definitely not a runaway for Green and McCann right now. These guys will eventually have some extra tire and be able to slowly catch up to those guys in the lead.
As watching this grouping of drivers, this is 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as well as 6th in line. As John Forbes in the 7 machine trying to make a move to the inside to get by Gavin Rogers. And Rogers, since he's gotten the pole, has just been moving backwards very slowly for the 1 machine. And I don't know if this is a tactic of saving tires. He's just not feeling comfortable. I'll have to wait and see after the next couple of laps. I think in the next, I would say 10 to 15 laps, we'll really see the swing. Who's got the tires? Who's feeling the most comfortable in the later runs of this race? And who's not? As Ollie Fonseca and Douglas Newbegin having a little bit of a do-si-do between one another. This is a battle for 12th place between the 24 and the 77. Ollie makes the pass on the exit of turn 2, and Douglas wants to make the retaliation move coming out of 3 and 4, but not going to be the case. The 24 holds on and now sets his sights on the 67 of Larry Yingling, and Yingling goes low and Ollie goes high. That 24 is on the move right now.
Yeah, Ollie Fonseca is doing a great job utilizing that outside line, getting right there, right at the rear end of the car in front of them. They will go low, and he will just stick to that outside line, let that car stick, and he'll have the momentum down the straightaway or even through the turn. So he's doing a great job picking off these cars one by one, but that's 2 positions lost in 1 lap for Larry Yingling as Douglas Dubigin gets around him as well. But now Jan Van Leer is in the sights of Ollie Fonseca. We'll have to see if he can get the momentum down the backstretch to be able to make a move going into turn 3.
I'll talk about a move for the lead. Brian McCann back to the lead position, but at what cost? All of that time that they've pulled away between the 8 and the 31 to the rest of the field. They are slowly watching it drift away. Jake Nichols, Jarrett Talmadge, John Forbes, as well as Gavin Rogers trying to retaliate back, and now going to be our top 6, all within a second of one another. And this was that waiting game. Did you kill your tires by being too aggressive? And this is looking pretty similar to, I would say, Auto Club, where everyone's now moving to the top and just trying to rip their way forward to hold back all that momentum behind them.
Yeah, this is what you'd like to see, and how the drivers adjust to both tire wear and track temperature change. Because not only got to worry about the track temperature, but one of the more recent updates that iRacing did, and we're a little over a year now into it, but the lines now change temperature as well, depending on how many cars are driving in a specific line. So you actually have to take the time and search around the different lanes to find a little bit more grip if you possibly can. So a lot of these drivers deciding to give up that inside line, move up to the outside line, and see what they can do. They're able to get around Thomas Green. Green is slowly starting to fall back as he's lost 2 positions now, with Brian McCann still out in front.
As watching the drivers up front, Brian McCann holding strong, a little bit less than a half a second. Jake Nichols is trying to close in the gap. Last few laps been about a tenth faster. So 73 expected to close in here in the next 3 to 4 laps. And then it will be the option of how do you want to make a pass. Here's going to be the pass being made back for 4th position as Thomas Green and John Forbes. Got to be careful with Forbes going for the slide job move. Just getting in front of the 31. But that is a very dangerous move to make, especially with the design of these ARCA Gen 4 machines. If you're the driver who's making the slide, you could get your rear end lifted if you're not careful by the driver that you're making the pass on.
Yeah, these cars, the front nose bumper is a lot lower wedge shape than the rear bumper. So you get that nose right underneath those bumpers, it'll lift those back tires kind of off the track. You're not going to have any grip, but you're going to have all the grip in the front tires, and it's just going to loose. But John Forbes a little loose off the turn. It looked like he might have tagged the wall. That gives Gavin Rogers an opportunity here. He's going to stick his nose to the outside, on the outside of the turn. Going to try to get around John Forbes. Forbes will not have the opportunity or the momentum to try to perform the slide job. That'll give the momentum to Gavin Rogers down the backstretch.
You know, looking around season 12, when drivers are usually around one another, you can kind of get a sense throughout a season of who are you always around, who are you racing with, who's been your regular competition, or some would say your rival that season. I would say John Forbes, Gavin Rogers, I feel like every race, there's a good about half of the race where they're always right next to one another. And usually it's further back in the field that we've seen. This go around in the top 10. This is what you love to see for both the 7 and the 1, with them being up front inside of the top 10 and competing around one another.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see both of these guys. They were around each other all season last season. I mean, they were fighting for that championship as well. These two drivers, very equal in skill, and they know how they both drive, especially around each other, being as much as they are around each other each and every race. So Gavin Rogers was very patient, saw that John Forbes made that slight mistake, got in the outside wall, and then just slowly made the patient move to get to the outside. And John Forbes kind of just relinquished the outside, didn't really challenge him very hard for it. Smart move by John Forbes to just let him have it. Saves a little bit of tires and saves a headache later in the race as well.
Yeah, a headache it could be, and here's going to be a headache for the rest of the field if he gets the lead. Jake Nichols to the inside of Brian McCann, trying to find a way to get through. 30 laps into this race, patiently waited, fell back to third, watched Brian McCann, Thomas Green just continue to try to pull away, burn up those tires, while Nichols, on the other hand, just patiently was waiting in the grass for his chance to pounce and attack for this lead position. He's watching the 8 get a little bit loose, now ducking low, trying to build the momentum off the exit turn 4, and side by side across the line. Nichols will lead that lap, but it's Brian McCann. You better hold strong. Don't get him clear, and Nichols is clear. But McCann fights back. He's going for the crossover move on the exit turn 2. Side-by-side drag racing on the backstretch. And Jarrett Talmadge, he now watches the duel for his opportunity to strike. McCann knows he needs to get back in the lead position, but you gotta be clear now. He's not. Nichols rips the top. And here we go. The 73 and the 8 don't make contact as they cross the line.
We saw right there, in order for McCann to make that move, he had to drive it into the turn, but Jake Nichols matched it. He's going to match it again. This is not allowing Brian McCann to perform the slide job and get up in front of him. What that does, though, is it doesn't give Jake Nichols the massive momentum swing. Well, we see it here. We didn't see it out of turn 4 because he has to kind of, relinquish a little bit of that speed later in the turn, but he's able to finally clear McCann. McCann's got to fall back in line. Jarrett Talmadge was hoping to see those guys battle it out a little bit longer, but now they can slowly catch back up as Jake Nichols, now in sole control of this race, and is slowly walking away from that number 8 machine.
Ryan just pull away, and Jarrett Talmadge looked like he was about to sneak his way to move into second, but I think with how aggressive those couple of laps were between McCann and Nichols, Talmadge just backed out of it. Didn't want to be close enough if there was a wreck that he'd get involved. And now we'll settle back into his run and try to figure out a way to get by the 8 machine of McCann, as the whole entire field now going to be back to single file racing, or at least those that are up front. What a normal driver when we get into these long runs that is now emerging into our top 7. You could count top 8. Vincent Sora, Ryan Kelly, they've now latched on to the rear end of this group as 7th and 8th position, slowly catching up to our leaders in running and actually matching our leader in pace.
Yeah, they're starting to match each other in pace. The tires are starting to go in favor of the guys that kind of fell back a little bit. Vincent Sora, he's still trying to make his way up as well. They got Ryan Kelly on his bumper. They're trying to get around Thomas Green so they can make a surge forward as well. They're trying to catch these top 5. These top 5 are doing a really good job maintaining their pace, kind of staying in control of this race. But, I mean, these drivers not really looking to be overly aggressive early in the race. They're just kind of taking their time, taking the opportunities if they're there, but not doing anything overly aggressive.
As Thomas Green is just trying to stay attached to this front pack, but be passed by Vincent Sora. And now Ryan Kelly going to look for an opportunity down low to move up another position for the 3 machine. Ryan Kelly, he needs to be up front. He needs to be closer to our top 5. And this is going to be a pass that's so impactful. Now follow the 15 and hope Vincent Sora kind of pulls you along. to catch up to that lead group, who will slowly be thinking about, when do you want to pit? I think that's going to be the big thing to watch out for. Is pit stops have been the big question throughout most of the season on who's winning or losing the race, on having a clean pit stop for one, and then on when, if you're able to, what time do you come into pit road to have the best tires at the end of this thing.
Yeah, pit strategy, we definitely saw that play into a factor last week. I mean, people who pit a little later had a lot better tire life in the longer run. So, but I mean, Ryan Kelly did a good job, was able to defend against that very well. We saw Gavin Rogers make the pass for third place, followed by the number 7 of John Forbes. He moves up to 4th place. That puts Talmadge back to 5th. So these guys, it seems like they were able to save their tires a little bit more than the number 27 machine. But Gavin Rogers is moving his way forward back to the front where he wants to be. But pit stops are definitely going to be an interesting topic whenever the strategy starts.
Certainly will be. There's a few other drivers. That's going to be your top 8 that are within a second half of one another. There's another pod of drivers that are outside of the top 10. That's Larry Yingling, Cedric Hunter, Douglas Newbigin, that are starting to have their own duel, as Ali Fonseca is kind of in his own world at this moment, as Larry Yangling's just about 7/10 back, and then the passing being made between Cedric Hunter, Douglas Newbigin. This is back for 11th and 12th. Ryan Noel is watching the duel between those two, and Chuck Sweeting and also Jan Van Leer just having a good view of the action, as everyone else is pretty spaced out in their own world. This is currently one of your closest battles on track. Cedric Hunter, Douglas Newbigin, old tires, and trying to just make their way around, stay on the lead lap, just in case a caution comes out.
Yeah, you definitely, want to try to stay on the lead lap if that caution ever does come out. These drivers have been doing really, really well, keeping these races under green flag conditions, and it's. So staying on the lead lap, though, in case it comes out, you don't have to worry about the lucky dog wave around. You don't have to worry about, not being able to pit. Douglas New making a huge slide coming out of turn 4. That's not going to make those tires very happy with him, as he loses a ton of ground on the 13.
Well, as 77 goes for a big slide, 2 drivers head into pit road. That's going to be Brian Noel and Jan Van Leer going to be getting some tires and fuel for themselves, and kind of throws the question in hand. Do you pit now and turn this race into a 3-stop, or are you thinking about stretching it long and trying to minimize it? First driver up front that's going to hit pit road, that's going to be Brian McCann in the 8 machine. Kind of shocked by that one. I thought he was going to try to stay out there, maybe match Jake Nichols, get a sense of what those tires are like between those drivers, but wants to see what the advantage is early, which honestly, I think pitting early now gives you the best chance for options later on, as the 8 now is going to get his stops done. Next question for those that are inside of our top 7, who's the next one to head into pit road? We keep our eyes out on the 3. Teammate up, Brian McCann, will not pit. Everyone up front continues to stay out.
Yeah, I mean, they're only about 2 seconds off of their fastest lap. That's not completely horrible. I mean, last week we saw anywhere 3 to upwards of 4 seconds off the pace of their fastest lap later in the run. So 2 seconds isn't bad. So running a little later, probably not a terrible strategy for these drivers. And it gives them, an option. It gives them a little bit better option of pitting early and having better tires for the later stages of this race.
As watching Ryan Kelly trying to find another position to move up into 3rd place. A couple of other battles that are happening. Ali Fonseca trying once again on the 67 of Larry Yingling, not able to make the pass for himself, but we keep our sights out up front just because of the fact of how important it is. When do you pit? Because these front runners, Brian McCann's going to get the early advantage for himself, and Vincent Sora over the radio saying he's heading into pit road. The 27 of Jarrett Talmadge sounds like he might follow in suit. Front runners will do the same. Into pit road. Late entry for Jake Nichols. Hard on the brake. Got to watch out if he's going to get penalized or not for the 73. The 1 at the 3, 17, 31. All into pit road. Talmadge stays out. Same for John Forbes and Larry Yingling. And what an aggressive entry in Jake Nichols with all the flare and the smoke. No black flag given to that 73 machine.
Impressive work from the 73 machine. He was hard on the brakes, smoke off the tires. It looked like he might have been going too fast, but he was able to get it woed down. John Forbes going to stay out on track as we have more drivers coming down pit road to get their service. John Forbes out there trying to lead some laps. He is one of just a few drivers now that have not came in the pit.
And those other drivers going to be John Forbes, Jared Thomas, Chuck Sweeting. Those are the last ones that need to make pit stop. Larry Yingling into his box. Douglas Newbegin, Ollie Fonseca into pit road. But John Forbes, I don't think you want to enter from the wall. That's what he's got to do with Jared Talmadge following in suit. And that's not the way you want to enter in, as that's going to hurt Jared Talmadge a little bit more than even the 7. And also Chuck Sweeting into pit road. So pit stops are completed for our first round, a green flag pit cycle. That pit entry is looking a little bit more dangerous than I was expecting.
Yeah, these drivers, it seems like they're struggling to try to get these cars woed down a little bit. They're just getting loose and sliding those tires, probably just carrying way too much speed out of 4 and just kind of not judging it very well. So a lot of struggles getting onto pit road, but the positive thing is not a single driver got a black flag, so they're able to continue, get back out on track. But John Forbes, he's going to have a huge deficit trying to get back out in front of the field.
Just trying to find a way of how do you run down this time, and is it better to short pit? Is it better to go long? And currently 4.4 seconds is the difference between Brian McCann and Jake Nichols. And that last lap, the lap times were almost identical between the 8 and the 73. I mean, they're still close to one another. This is not looking good for the rest of the field. If the lap times are this close between our top 4, and Brian McCann is 4 seconds ahead of you.
Yeah, he was out for 3 laps longer than the other guys. Again, I mean, it's not much of a difference for laps early in the run. It's the later part of the stage of this green flag run that we're going to have to worry about to see if this benefits Brian McCann. So I think right now is a great time for him to kind of save a little bit of his tires. He does have a 4.5 second advantage over Jake Nichols. So he's got some time to spare. He's got the ability to be able to save some tires a little bit. He's got a great advantage currently in this part of the race.
This is proving to everyone short pitting is going to be giving you an early advantage, because a 4.5 second gap that has not shrunk over the last 3 laps. That is bizarre compared to what we've seen at other courses where it is traditional. You pit early, you build the giant gap, and then it shrinks over time. Usually it's a big shrink in the early goings, then the tires wear off, and you're not really having that same pace at the end. Right now, it's just a couple of hundredths, a couple of tenths. It's not as big as it used to be at other courses where it used to be a half a second you're gaining on the driver ahead of you if you had fresher tires. Sometimes it was a full second. This minimal gain, and honestly, a loss that last lap, is shocking to me, and maybe a little bit of everyone's playing games on how to save their tires at this moment.
Yeah, right now it's probably just a game of saving your tires. They know they can't just burn their tires down from Jake Nichols on back, because if they burn their tires down, there's not going to be a chance to catch up to Brian McCann. They've got to let him burn the tires off and just run their race currently. So it's an interesting strategy. It's paying off extremely well in dividends for Brian at the moment. We'll have to see. I mean, hopefully he can keep his strategy, because that should put him at an even better advantage in the next 30-plus laps.
Another lap, another gain of time for Brian McCann. He is keeping it within 4.5 seconds for another lap for himself. This is incredible. Brian Kelly no longer wants to be just waiting with Jake Nichols. He wants to close this gap down for the 3 up to his teammate. Nichols is continuing with his games of save tires while the 3's on the opposite approach. You gotta catch up to the driver ahead, but another lap down, and it's still 4.5 seconds, but because of the pass that Ryan had to make, it at least shrunk slightly for these drivers. It's really going to be Ryan Kelly putting the pressure on this grouping to close in this gap immediately. We'll see how well Nichols gets rewarded later on, but wow, this is a shocker to see after that first pit stop's done. There's still multiple pit stops expected before this race is over. But it certainly puts them back in the mind for some of these drivers of if you want to pit sooner, and might think about doing that, if especially on that last pit stop, we're expected that stint to be a little bit shorter than the rest of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough decision also because, like, I mean, in all reality, Brian McCann made the short pit work. He's going to have the advantage for that because if these guys want to pit, they've got to pit basically 6 laps earlier than they did this last time. So instead of pitting, at lap, what was it, like 44, 45, they'd have to pit lap 39 if they really want to undercut Brian McCann. But as soon as they pit, Brian can jump right on the case, get in the pits, and still maintain his lead. So he's in such a great position right now when it comes to strategy. But that lap right there, he was quite a bit slower than the next 5 cars.
Yeah, starting to see that drop off in pace be a little bit more dramatic. But also looking at some of the other drivers that were in that pack with Ryan Kelly, they're still running pretty close to the same laps as Brian McCann. It's Ryan Kelly that's really putting the pressure on, trying to force then woo this group forward at this current time. As everyone single filed out, the sun continues to set. As we want to say thank you to more incredible sponsors that have attached themselves to the WSSR Cup Series for Season 12. We want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. GTR Simulators is your one-stop shop to go find your own racing rig. From compact rigs to stationary rigs, you can find them all at gtrsimulators.com. And remember to use the promo code WSSR for 10% off at checkout for anything $100 and more that's in your cart. Again, that's gtrsimulators.com. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. We also want to say thank you to TrophySmack.com. If you want to celebrate your achievements of your highs or lows, they've got you covered at TrophySmack.com. From championship belts, rings, trophies, and also their wall smack product, you've got custom made as well as pre-made items that you can find at TrophySmack.com. But their wall smack is the item that they really want you to check out. It's a metal plate glossy piece of art that you can choose what custom image is on that. You can find yourself checking out the wall smack at TrophySmack.com. And remember to use the promo code WSSRSmack at checkout to get 10% off on your wall smack purchase. As the field watches another lap go down for Brian McCann. It's now less than 3 seconds between first and second. A couple of close battles that are happening on track. A position being changed for 8th place between Jared Talmadge and also Larry Yingling. And then there's a couple of other pods of racers having their duels, battling back for 10th place. Sully Fonseca, Brian Noel, and Cedric Hunter. Those 3 drivers pretty close to one another, as Brian Noel, the 00, our first driver to hit pit road, and looks to be the first driver really struggling with his tires. And that 00's been out there for 19 laps, but man, is he wiggling a lot off the exit of turn 4.
Starting to get quite a bit loose on these exits. I mean, you kind of expect that huge wiggle for Brian Noel there at a turn 2. Had to drive it down almost into the 3rd lane there to the left, but he is doing everything he can to keep that car under his control, and that's early in the run for himself as well. He's not been out on that track very long, so it's going to just get worse and worse for him later in this run.
Speaking about worse and worse, Chuck Sweeting, again, another race where he qualifies pretty decently instead of the top 10. Another race where he kind of just rolls out of the top 10. The race pace just not there for the 57. The hot lap is. Really needs some help when it comes to these longer runs. Driver who decided not to qualify, only up 2 positions. Zach Hall really not finding the pace for himself, but more of just learning throughout this run. We're still in the first half of this race. Still trying to learn a little bit more of how you want to attack the course. And one of the drivers that made it in the top 16 into the chase, Jan Van Leer, survived the regular season, had good finishes, had a couple of mistakes here and there throughout the middle of the season, has really cleaned it up over the last 4 or 5 races. Love what I'm seeing from the 10 machine. And then our favorite anchor man out there, Ben Keeney, out on track, running back in 17th. He's trying to find a way to survive the race. I feel like we say that every week, but every week Ben gets faster and faster, and throughout practice, kind of was shocking some drivers with the speed that he was finding for the hot lap, for the 1 lap speed for the 98. And here tonight, just continuing on further in the back, about to be going a lap down, but He's certainly just trying to have his fun here this evening. As one driver having major troubles, that's the 00 of Brian Noel. He did slide, got into the outside wall at the exit of turn 2. No caution is thrown, but major damage, required damage. The 00 heading to pit road, and here's the reason why. Gets loose and hard contact to the outside wall.
That's what you were saying earlier, like, the more and more that car got loose on him not being able to keep it under control on those exits, burned up those back tires, just not able to get the grip down, just got really loose, tried to save it, and the car just darted straight to that outside wall. Massive damage to the right front, swung around, hit the right rear as well, and that's a meatball flag for himself. That might be race ending, but he's going to be in the pits fixing what he can and see if he can get back out on track.
Well, here's your leader, kind of having his own fun up front, but here's the battle for second, and it's Ryan Kelly, kind of fighting for his life right now. He got up to second place, was leading this back to try to catch Brian McCann, and he has burnt all of his stuff up because Jake Nichols has been hounding this back bumper of the 3 machine, forcing him high, forcing him low. This 3 is doing everything to hold on to this position and maybe get in the lead spot. But Nichols just looks like an absolute. He will take this position away from the 3. The question is, at what time? And will there be contact to get the 3 moved out of the way? As Vincent Sora now showing his bumper, battling for 3rd.
Vincent Sora finally up here racing against Jake Nichols, a spot that he hasn't been in quite a bit this year. He's usually further back, but I mean, he really showed out in Mexico City, was able to play the strategy right, got the win there, but now he's up here right on the bumper. Got to get around Ryan Kelly now, but he is chasing Jake Nichols, trying to follow him around this track for his chance to throw his hat in there for a win tonight.
Ryan Kelly trying to get to the back bumper of the 73, looking for an opportunity to get the position back, but Nichols just looks to be way too strong. The patience gets to him and is helping out the 73. One driver, though, got to be a little bit careful. That's John Forbes. A little bit of a brush to the outside wall. Not too much of a lost position for the 7, but he's got to be careful for on his tires and getting a little bit too close to that outside wall as he's doing everything to put down burners. Well, there's a burner. Larry Yingling out of nowhere putting down the fastest lap for himself and going quick for all that he can go for. As Larry Yingling, fastest lap of the race. He is certainly trying to find speed as he has really done everything on this lap to try to salvage with going long on his last pit stop.
Yeah, a huge lap from Larry Yingling, 29.7, phenomenal lap, but he's going to have to slow down a bit. He's going to have to try to save the tires a little bit. He is up 4 positions from his starting position, looking like he's trying to chase down Jarrett Talmadge a half second back from himself. Right up here right now, right over the wrong with Gavin Rogers again, who's chasing down John Forbes. We saw Gavin get around John earlier and quite a few other cars, so Gavin on the long strategy, just trying to save his tires and wait for it to come to him. Let those other guys burn their stuff up so he can get around them a little easier. But right now it's Ryan Kelly kind of being the bottleneck for these guys that can't seem to get around this number 3 machine. But Vincent Sora going to drive it hard down into the turn 3, not going to be able to complete the pass. It looks like he will coming out of turn 4, but Vincent Sora a little loose right up in front of the number 3.
Little loose, gonna have to fall back to the inside. Gonna give an opportunity for John Forbes to maybe do a risky pass as the 7 and the 3 get close to one another on entry. Now Forbes gonna dive it down low to the inside, trying to go for the position. 3rd place on Vincent Sora, sliding up to the quarter panel, but not able to get clear. And now Kelly with a better run off the exit of turn 2. He'll now dive it down low for 4th place. Not having the big enough run, though, to really force the issue. Forbes should hold on as long as he doesn't get loose off the exit turn 4, and Forbes will hold on for 4th as Kelly drops the 5th place and might be going even further back. Vincent Sora, though, he'll love the fact that he's in 3rd position for the 15. And Richard, the one thing I want to bring up, I mean, this is something that kind of is difficult to watch in other vehicles on the iRacing service. It kind of feels like you watch the trucks, you watch the B car, you watch the next gen. It's a lot of you're hitting the same line. You're either trying to get down to that blue line and just stick your vehicle there and stay there. This Gen 4 Legacy machine has been incredible to watch. All lanes are being utilized throughout the whole entire run, and all have their advantages and disadvantages that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it has been a really impressive thing to watch with this car. These guys are able to test around the entire track, find lanes that work, find lanes that don't, figure out which ones work right here, right now, and which ones work a little bit better. And each of the lanes do different things with your tires as well. But I mean, we see these guys are using the bottom lane to save tires. It seems like when they're trying to make a move, they tend to move to the outside lane. But later in the run, when the tires do wear, a lot of the drivers do move to that outside lane. It seems to be the better route when the tires wear out. So, yeah, seeing multiple lanes on every single one of the tracks we've gone to so far with this car, it's just made the racing a lot more exciting to watch because you get a lot more side-by-side driving.
Well, it took 32 laps, but here we go. Jake Nichols to the point, to the lead. End of this run. We're closing in when some of these drivers might be thinking about pit stops in the next 6 to 8 laps. But Jake Nichols, his patient approach, the waiting game for late in the run pays off and is finally caught Brian McCann. McCann trying to do everything with those old tires this late in the run. There really isn't much that he can do. Brian Noel leaves pit road as he's able to get the required damage fixed up and back out on track. But got to give credit to Jake Nichols. He knew the patient approach was going to work out. It looked a little bit demoralizing in those first handful of laps after getting fresh rubber. We weren't sure if he was going to catch them, but Ryan Kelly proved being aggressive early on burning off those tires, not worth it. You gotta wait for that final 10 to 15 laps to maximize on your speed.
Yeah, you got to wait, later in the run. That's where you can maximize your speed. So Brian McCann, he's going to be in a position right now where he's got to just kind of hang on, hope to not lose too much ground, because maybe the undercut really wasn't the right call because, I mean, they still got 10 laps before we saw them even consider pitting. And that's going to put him on a really heavy back foot on the strategy call here. So he can either stick to his guns with the early pit or he's going to have to hang on as long as he can, try to pit with these guys later in this run.
Well, trouble for the 10 machine of Jan van Leer. Required damage for the 10 machine. He was already struggling. Got into the wall back on lap 71. Well, this is going to be the moment that takes him out of this race official. It was coming out of turn number 4. Brakes loose, overcorrects into the outside wall. And that could be a day over for the 10 machine as he is completely out of this thing and just overcorrects, getting loose, and just like that, your race is done in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to see for Jan van Leer. He's done such a fantastic job this season, coming in, able to make the chase for the championship as well, like very barely, but was able to squeak into the 16th spot. And that is an unfortunate end to tonight, just getting loose coming out of turn 4. Unfortunate to see for the number 10 Tide machine.
We'll see if Jan's able to get that damage repaired to get back out on track, but that looked to be terminal damage for himself. And with Brian Noel just sticking it out, getting the damage done and get back out on track, he might gain a position for the 0-0. Well, they see some of the racing action up front, and that's the 8 of Brian McCann. And swamped by the pack of drivers that have finally caught up to him. John Force, Vincent Sora trying to figure out a way to get by the 8 machine. Brian McCann, he has won this race back in season 8, the last time that we ran this track and car combo. In that race, Brian McCann led only 9 laps of that 158 lap race, which kind of shocking. There have been multiple races of drivers leading less than 10 laps and getting into victory lane. Being the driver that dominates doesn't always mean you're going to be the driver winning. Brian McCann did that in season 8. Back in season 9, Cedric Hunter only led 6 laps that day. And then back in season 5, Cedric Hunter did it again, only leading 3 laps that day and getting into victory lane. Who can find that magic? We'll have to wait and see for this crew as the 3 of Ryan Kelly trying his best to hold strong in front of Vincent Sora. And Sora's got to be careful. He is still side by side with that 8 machine.
I think Sora's also got some tires that are kind of fading from him. I saw him get really, really loose out of turn, I believe it was here in turn 4, which is why he lost the ground to Ryan Kelly. He had to gather the car back up, lost all the momentum out of the turn. So, I mean, Vincent Sora's got to take care of those tires at this point because that little bitty wiggle that he had can definitely hurt them in the longer run. You still see him getting a little wiggly coming out of turn 2.
Got to be careful a little bit here and there. Don't want to get into too much trouble, but we also know pit stops. They are looming for the field. We're now on lap 82. The question is, how many drivers want to push the window, go out to lap 85, lap 90, 95, and oh no, Vincent Sora! Gotta be careful there. It's Sora getting close, as well as Rogers. And that 15 still not out of the woods yet. Holding on. Finally, it's straight on the backstretch, but you can see that steering wheel. It is still wobbling, even as he's trying to go straight.
Oh man, almost a scary moment for both the number 1 machine and the 15. Just a great wheelmanship by both of them. He just drove it really hard. Had to get into the back of Ben Keeney there. I guess was not expecting Ben to be going as slow as he was. So a huge stack up from those guys almost caused a huge wreck for the 15 and the 1 machine.
That was a wild moment. And Vince Sora, luckily, is still racing, but all of that time lost. I mean, he just lost 2 seconds in a blink of an eye, with just a misfortune of a spot. And now pit road going to be calling for Ryan Kelly and Brian McCann. And that is going to be the early stops for the Cody Glenn Cox drivers. As here we go, it is a call. When do you want to find yourself hitting pit road? As Vincent Sora pressured to go wide. As here's a couple of Lucky Duck drivers trying to make the pass of Thomas Green and Jared Talmadge.
Yeah, Vincent Sora, he almost got to the front of the 31 machine. Was not expecting his nose to be there in the front stretch there, but Thomas Green is able to stick his nose there and get side by side at the 15. He just can't complete the pass. You got John Forbes, Jake Nichols, and Gavin Rogers. They're making their pit stops now. They're not giving that extra tire life and advantage to the guys that pit before them. So they're taking advantage of this moment as those guys went in the pits, and they're coming in for service. As Thomas Green got past by Vincent Sora. Vincent Sora able to get that pass, but now he's under attack from the 27 machine of Jared Talmadge.
And Vincent Sora about to be heading into pit road, but he's got 2 drivers right on his rear end. They got to back out. Someone's got to make the difficult call. Sora already made the vocal call. He's headed to pit road, and Green able to slice his way around. With the 15, big wiggle and slide. It is a nightmare run. This stint went from fantastic to horrible in a blink of an eye for Vincent Sora. And once again, Jared Talmadge behind a driver that is just wiggling and losing time for him.
Yeah, just unfortunate for Jared Talmadge. Just bad or wrong place, wrong time. Just his experience for this race. But scary moment trying to get into the pits. I mean, we're seeing a lot of drivers struggle getting into the pits tonight, but no black flags yet handed out for speeding. So they're doing a good job getting down to the speed limit in time, but it's making for a wild show watching these guys try to do it.
Certainly does. Thomas Green now going to be entering pit road. Cedric Hunter going to be following it soon. And oh no, behind Zach Hall. Looking the wrong direction for a quick second. And the 32 finally able to get rolling for himself. And the pit road woes continue on for the 32 machine. As now going to be waiting for Larry Yingling, the last driver to make a stop, and Kinney as well. Still needing to make their second stop of the night as Jake Nichols trying to find an opening. Have to go down through the quad oval for a quick second for the 73. And we'll complete the pass on our current leader. And unlapping is Jake Nichols. John Forbes going to be ripping the top to go on by. And Yingling expected to hit pit road here shortly, but trying to stretch this as long as possible. And I'm curious on what the game plan is for Larry Yingling here, because I've seen him do this in multiple different leagues of just going long, stretching the fuel out, and it kind of throws away a decent finish that the 67 can have. And most of the time, he's just banking on a caution that never comes out, especially this late in the season, the WSSR Cup Series. Cautions are a rarity to find in this league.
Yeah, they really have been a rarity the past 4 or 5 races for these guys. They've done a great job keeping these races under green flag condition. And the strategies now, like Larry Yingling's doing, the longer run, trying to stretch his fuel out as long as he can. He will duck down to the pit road. Time to come get tires and fuel for himself. But, I mean, sometimes it's the only strategy you have when so many guys are just that much faster and you're just trying to find the speed and can't find it. Sometimes you just got to roll the dice and hope for something to go your way.
Well, rolling the dice and pitting early is given what should be the lead for the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly. And Kelly currently a little bit less than a second ahead of Jake Nichols. John Forbes going to be about a second and a half back from the 3 machine of Brian McCann. biggest loser. He entered pit road with Kelly and actually lost over 3 seconds to the 3 machine. I mean, for a quick second there, it was, well, looked like he should have been ahead of Kelly and maybe gaining more time. Instead, the 8 is right behind John Forbes and is just looking to try to get this time back at this current moment.
And Ryan Kelly had a phenomenal pit road time, almost a full second quicker than everybody else, at 36.8 seconds on pit lane. And then, I mean, Brian McCann, you see it right there, 37.7 seconds on pit lane. So that's the big difference you see between the two and why Ryan Kelly is so far out ahead. So, I mean, that just goes to show, like, if you can get on pit road, I mean, stopping in your box at the perfect spot and getting on and off pit road as quick as you can, that can give you a massive advantage that, you know, even tires can't even make up.
Hey, if you want to give a never give up award, well, give that to the 10 and the 00. Both getting in the wall, require damage for the both of them, and they are still out on track. 10 laps down is Jan Van Leer, and same for Brian Noel. They are battling for position. Obviously, one driver got his damage fully fixed. The other one just trying to battle for the best position he can, as the wounded 10 and the non-wounded 00. This is a battle for who's going to get last place here tonight before they pass Zach Hall, who looks to be potentially calling it an evening here after his slide in pit road. He has yet to leave his box. There was no black flag given, but it looks like for Zach, it was a fun first half of the race, and he'll enjoy watching the second half and hoping to see a thriller like we've seen for most of the chase. Here's Ollie Fonseca kind of by himself. And once again, linking up, fastest lap of the day. Larry Yingling puts it down here on lap 94. So put some fresh rubber on for Yingling. He's going to attempt to get the fastest lap.
Well, that's what his plan is, just get the fastest lap. Good on him. He's doing a great job making sure each time he comes out of the pit, he puts the fastest lap down on the track. Downside is it will destroy his tires a little quicker than a lot of the other drivers, but hey, he's got the fastest lap down. That's all that matters to him, it seems. But right along now with Ollie Fonseca, kind of out in his own world at the moment, out in no man's land, coming out of turn 2 down the back stretch. So he's got not really anybody ahead of him, and not really the closest person behind him is almost the second back, and that'll be Douglas Newbigg in the 77.
It's one of those things where you're just out there pacing yourself. We've seen so far, if you're able to save your tires for later on the run, you will get rewarded. And the field continues on their way here tonight. As the field continues on throughout this race, Kelly, I'm curious for the 3. We saw how much he was willing to just burn off his tires throughout that first stint and the second stint. He's got at least one more pit stop before this race is over. What is potentially this 3 and the rest of the field thinking for this next pit stop? Because do you go short? Do you go immediately? It's kind of one of those, you know, we've seen winning moments where you pit early, but if you pit later, you could get rewarded way better. I'm just curious on what these lead drivers are going to be thinking about, because Kelly is giving up the time. He is not pushing these tires to build the gap out.
Yeah, it really just depends on how many laps are going to be left when you decide to pit. Because, I mean, we saw it took about 30 laps for them to gain a 4-second or 5-second deficit. So, I mean, it takes a long time for you to catch back up to the driver. So, I mean, whenever you can make that pit decision and have that extra gap, the only problem is that everyone saw how long it took them to catch back up to the guy who undercut them by, 3 or 4 laps. They're not going to allow that. They're going to go ahead and pit the lap after that guy, or they're going to be the first one to pit. But we're seeing now Jake Nichols able to catch up to the number 3 machine of Ryan Kelly, and is going to make the pass on the inside to take over the lead again.
And a much quicker, you might be thinking, well, that only took 14 laps for Jake Nichols to get the lead and pass. Well, that's just a 1-lap difference between when the 3 pitted and the 73, on top of an incredible pit stop by the 3. Overall, I think for Ryan Kelly, this is going to be a big win. You could say the fact that he has been able to stay up front as long as he did, but now you're going to be in that tricky situation. Whatever move you decide to make, I don't think you're going to see that same, you pit, and then 4 laps later, the rest of the field's going to pit behind you. Everyone's most likely going to follow in the same strategy of I'm pitting now, the next lap. Everyone else is going to be pitting with you.
Yeah, it seems like that's the plan that a lot of drivers will probably do now. And the faster drivers, they probably will try to run it out as long as they can, wait for anybody else to make the move first, and then pit a lap after them. So we've seen that happen just this past pit stop. But this last pit stop, I mean, you only got 60 laps left. They've been out on the track for about 16 laps. So they can pit any time, really, in the next 15 or so laps, and they should be able to make it the rest of the way. So it's going to be a very interesting call to see what these guys can do, because, I mean, you might have that one driver that might try to make it one more stop. Well, I mean, it's one more stop either way, I guess, for them all, ain't it?
Yeah, it's expected everyone should have to do at least one more stop. The question is, do you just do a splash and go late in this run? Do you pit earlier for tires? Where are you going to be thinking about finding the advantage? And for Vincent Sora, I think he might be going with a little bit of a dramatic run here. Burn off your tires, because he recognizes he has lost so much time. With the incident with Ben Keeney, with the last couple of laps on the tires, he is doing everything to run down and catch up to our top four. The problem we've already seen, if you burn these tires off quickly early in a run, you're going to be losing way too much time. All this time that you're gaining, you're going to lose double that. So if you're Vincent Sora, you better be careful, or you better have the best strategy call that at this point. When my tires fall off, I'm hitting pit road immediately.
I think Gavin Rogers also a huge loss for himself also. I think when Vincent Sora and Gavin Rogers almost got into Ben Keeney there, they lost a ton of time, so they got a lot of time to make up. And it's going to be tough for them to be able to make up that time, so they're going to hope potentially for a caution as well if they can't seem to get their speed under control.
Well, if you're just joining us right now, let's bring up that race report. Not really much crazy action on the caution side of things. We have been caution-free so far. We've ran 0 caution laps, so we've had 15 lead changes with all the different pit stops. Drivers being aggressive on their tires early on in a stint. We've seen quite a bit of different lead changes, as well as the fact that we've been clean and green all the way through. This is kind of been the fun portion to watch throughout the later half of this season and most of this season. Low caution counts means it is a lot more on strategy, consistency, and minimizing your mistakes, which has kind of been the call for a lot of drivers. If you're going to beat the 73 of Jake Nichols, you need a perfect race. And right now, we're seeing drivers that are really stepping up. John Forbes, this has been an incredible run for the 7, one of his better mile-and-a-half runs of the season, and he is trying his best to get into victory lane here tonight at Charlotte. And we talked about those drivers that are outside of our top 3 in points. Tonight could be that step-up race that can say, hey, I'm not completely out of the chase. And John Forbes entered tonight 14 points back from Ryan Kelly. This is the run. Kelly running in 3rd. If Forbes can win, that's a few more points that you can close the gap and have a chance for this championship.
Yeah, that'll be a huge point gain for John Forbes if he can pull this win off. But now he's being challenged by his teammate of Jake Nichols in the 73 machine on the inside. Jake not going to be able to complete that pass. Going to have to follow right in suit. Really close to the rear bumper of John Forbes there, but Jake Nichols doing a great late apex kind of drive off the turn. Going to be able to drive off the turn a little straighter than Forbes. Going to get side by side with him again and challenge him for the lead going into turn 1. Jake Nichols he's going to try to throw it into the turn, but Forbes is going to match him. He's going to have the outside, give him the momentum. Nichols not able to complete that pass, but they're about the same speed, if not Nichols a little faster down the backstretch.
And right now, for John Forbes, he's trying to just hold back Nichols, but this is ultimately hurting the Cody Glencock's music drivers of Ryan Kelly and Brian McCann, because it's allowing them to close back up, keep at the same pace. They're not burning off their tires as aggressively. And Jake Nichols, now that he's finally clear of the 7, finally able to put down a decent lap, is about 2 tenths faster than the rest of the drivers behind him. So the 73 obviously is the faster of all the field. The question is, how much can you hold them back? So when you enter pit road, hopefully earlier than the 73, that big enough of a gap advantage is what you're able to hold on to and defend later on in this race.
It's going to be really interesting to see what they can defend. Ryan Kelly here was hoping to see a little bit more side-by-side racing from the two up front, but Jarrett Talmadge back here in the 6th spot. He got around Gavin Rogers. He's still blinking out a little bit there, though, trying to chase down Vincent Sora, but Gavin Rogers down another spot. Gavin is something going on with Gavin. He's trying to figure out where the speed is for that one machine that he had earlier, but oh man, unfortunate to see for Gavin Rogers falling this far back.
I mean, I brought up the stat. If you get the pole, you have yet to see that driver get into victory lane here at Charlotte, and based off how we're seeing this race go on, if we do not get a caution, Gavin Rogers is going to be fed to that statistic once again. If you get the pole, congratulations on that bonus point. The victory lane is not calling your name. Another driver who also behind the one machine, who I'm kind of shocked on how far he's fallen, Thomas Green. He looked incredible. Did a similar strategy as Ryan Kelly of just being aggressive on that first stint, getting up there, battling forward. And the 31 is now back here with the 1. Also seeing Larry Yingling looking at his pace. That 67 has actually done a fantastic job of closing in and could be competing for at least a 6th place position at the rate that he's flying up through this field.
Yeah, Larry Yingling has really been impressive with his speed in these later runs. He does run a little longer than these guys, so he's got a little bit fresher tires for the later runs, but if he doesn't pit later, he usually has a disadvantage, it seems, but doing a great job moving his way up. He is 4 up from his qualifying position also, and he's getting closer and closer to that 31 machine. It's about time for him to start looking to make a pass to get around Thomas Green.
Oh, Rev out there in chat saying, y'all jinxed him. I mean, we jinxed Gavin. I wouldn't say that we jinxed him. We're just looking at the statistics and speaking what's been happening in the past. That's all that we did. If anything, Gavin has broken many a curses that we've seen in this league, as with his win at Auto Club, was the first driver to win. We called that one driver was our pick'em, and trying to carry on with that way as the 1 currently runs in 7th place. Larry Yingling able to find his way around Thomas Green for that 8th place position. Up front, Jake Nichols, John Forbes, still 3/10, almost up to 4/10. Going to be the difference between the 73 and the 7. And Ryan Kelly starting to fall back, but looking at the last couple of lap times, John Forbes is actually keeping pretty good pace. He's running a little bit faster than the 73, and that's exactly what the 7 needs to do. Just keep it close and have a chance whenever we enter into this final pit stop.
Yeah, he's keeping it close, right on the tail of Jake Nichols, losing a little bit of ground, but not much. He's still in the draft and still has a chance to strike. So John Forbes doing a fantastic job sitting here in the 2nd spot, just kind of following Nichols around, making sure, keep Nichols honest. As soon as Nichols, if he even makes a mistake, which is rare to see that 73 machine do, that gives a huge opportunity for the 7 machine to make a move.
And looking at drivers that have been some of our bigger movers of the race, John Forbes, the 7 machine up 5 positions from where he qualified back in 7th place, up to 2nd. Other big mover is going to be Larry Yingling, up 5 spots, but the biggest mover actually going to be the 24, Valde Fonseca, back in 10th, up 6 positions from where he qualified. Didn't have the strongest qualifying run, but has done a pretty good job moving his way into 10th position and hoping for a top 10 here tonight. John Forbes here so far has now lost a little bit of ground, now over a half a second back, but you look at John Forbes, this has been kind of a quietly good season for the 7. I feel like when we watch him throughout the beginning and middle of the race, it is a struggle for him, but if you look at the statistics of the 7 this season, he's got 2 wins, 8 top 5s, 14 top 10s. That's not a bad way to run for a season at all, but I think it's just because we've seen John Forbes dominate in the past in our past Monday night series, the old iRacing Truck Series. We've seen him look dominant here in the WSSR Cup Series. Just the way that Jake Nichols has been up front and always up front kind of overshadowed a pretty good season this 7 has been having.
Yeah, I mean, John Forbes has had a fantastic season nonetheless still. But yeah, just Jake Nichols, he has overshadowed a lot of drivers who's had a great season so far just because of the amount of wins and just how, when he wins, it's in dominating fashion, really. So you can't take away from the credit from a lot of these drivers still in this chase and even in the top 5 in points.
Absolutely not, but here we go. Final pit stops are starting now as Ben Kinney is going to be put a second lap down. Jarrett Talmadge, our driver, our spotlight driver, all of us picked for 27, is the first to hit pit road. The question, how long does everyone else stay out, and is Jarrett able to build a big enough gap? Because 40 laps to go, I don't know if this is the window you want to pit. I think that for a lot of these drivers, you might want to go for 30 laps to go, but everyone looks like might be making the early call. Now going to be seeing the 1 of Gavin Rogers, the 3 of Ryan Kelly now enter in their box. They don't want to see the 27 get too big of a lead. And now the question is on the drivers up front. Jake Nichols, also John Forbes, Brian McCann. How long are you willing to stay out on track?
Yeah, that's the biggest question. How long and how much time are you willing to give up with these guys that are going to come out on newer tires? But I mean, the good thing is they've got 40 laps to go still. So they've got that 30-lap catch-up that we saw Jake Nichols do earlier. So he should be able to catch them even if he pits, 2, 3, 4 laps later than them. He's got the time to be able to catch up to them still. So Jake Nichols still might be on the better strategy than most of these other guys that are pitting now. So we'll have to see. But Jake Nichols still finally coming down pit road in a huge slide trying to get down to the pit road apron. But he gets slowed down. And he's back out, or back in the pit road.
Back into pit road. John Forbes will stay out. Vincent Sora will stay out. Vincent Sora over the radio sounds like he will be pitting this time. Brian McCann given the warning. He might be following in suit, but once again, another daring and kind of scary looking pit entry for Jake Nichols. No black flag given to that 73 machine. A clean entry for himself. We'll see how much time is lost or gained as he leaves pit road. And Vincent Sora, Brian McCann going to be entering pit road. McCann a little bit earlier to get onto the apron. John Forbes also going to be following in suit. Staying out is going to be Larry Yingling and Thomas Green. And for John Forbes, heard what Vincent Sora was doing and deciding to pit with them. So don't want to be losing too much touch or ground to their competition. But Thomas Green, Larry Yingling taking the gamble of staying out a little bit longer. And for both of these drivers, they can stay out for another 10 laps if they would want to.
Yeah, they definitely could stay out another 10 laps if they would like. This will give them a better advantage on the later run. But, I mean, you can't pit too late. You will run out of time to be able to chase these guys down that are going to be on those, when newer tires now, older tires later. So, I mean, they've got to pit in the next 2 to 3 laps, I would think, if they want to even have a chance to chase down the leaders. But when the cycle is done, Ryan Kelly and Jarrett Talmadge will be your top 2 drivers, with Jake Nichols trying to catch up with 1.3 second difference between him and Talmadge.
Talking about some of the drivers have had some of the best pit stops. That will be given to John Forbes. A very clean pit entry and exit for the 7 machine. He was able to take off and go and pull away from Vincent Sora, who had a horrendous exit out of pit road. Practically was drifting once he exited out of pit exit. And a rough run for the 15, who just continues to lose more and more time. And this could be it for Vincent Sora, who entered tonight 6th in points. He was 25 points back. He needed a perfect run here tonight, and it does not look to be the case. But up front, still waiting for 4 drivers to enter pit road. That's Larry Yingling, Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, and Chuck Sweeting, which all 4 of these drivers, they're banking on a yellow. I take that back. Cedric Hunter now going to be entering pit road for the 13 Hello Kitty machine.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter not wanting to bank on that yellow much longer, decides to pull in, doesn't want to lose too much time to these other drivers, so he decides it's his time to come in, get some fresh rubber and some fuel. I think the only thing that might save some of these drivers, and it could be a huge gamble, but a 2-tire stop, that could be a call for some of these drivers if they choose to do that. I don't know how beneficial it could be, but it doesn't look like Cedric Hunter will be taking the 2-tire stop. It looks like everybody so far has done 4 tires on pit road.
It feels like that's too much of a risk to take, even though I think if you stayed out maybe long enough to where you had the fuel to make it to the end. But I believe with how long you have to, they're still left in this race, these drivers are still going to have to take two cans for themselves, which makes it tough to really only take 2 tires. It's now Thomas Green entering into pit road. Chuck Sweeting, and Larry Yingling going to be the last 2 drivers. On the lead lap, still to pit, the 00 Brian Noel and the 10 of Jan Van Leer, who are laps down. Jan Van Leer's leaving pit road, leaving us with the 00 67 and 57 that need to make their final stops of the evening. But no surprise, Yingling stays out. Chuck Sweeting, the way that he won his WSSR Cup Series race was based off of a fuel strategy call. The 57, no surprise here later on, needing a chance, needing a break. Will a caution save him? Not looking to be the case just yet. We're still waiting on when Yingling and Sweeting will hit pit road, but a battle for position already underway. The battle for 4th on track, which should be 2nd overall. John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, pass completed for the 7, and he is trying to run down Ryan Kelly for this win.
Yeah, and he is still 3 seconds back from Ryan Kelly, so he still has quite a bit of space to catch up, but he's on 3-lap newer tires as well. That could benefit him later or that will benefit him later in this run. But he's around Jared Talmadge now, so now his sights and his crosshairs are set on the number 3 machine. He just got to play the patience game and try to catch him. And when he catches him, it'll be near the end of this run, so we might have another barn burner of a race for the finish.
Who is going to find the success? It's going to be the true thing to watch out for here this evening as the field runs down all these laps. Will it be the 3 heading into victory lane? That is going to be the question that we have to answer here with 30 laps to go. But we also have an event that is supposed to be going on in 3 days. We hope that if you're wanting to be a part of this event, we've got ourselves the 4 hours of lemons that's going to be happening Saturday, as it is taking some fun, different vehicles out to Sonoma for 4 hours. That's the street stocks and the mini stocks. If you'd like to be a part of this incredible fun journey, go check out our Discord community out there, and you can find more information on how to sign up for the 4 hours of lemons at Sonoma. That's March 14th here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And we hope to have, needing a couple of more teams to sign up. So if you have a day free on Saturday, you want to have some fun out at Sonoma, why not join with us here on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a really exciting event. I'm, trying to. It's a charity event as well, so we're gonna have something similar that the January charity race had with the donation goals. So I mean, you can, make it more like a lemons race. You will have donation opportunities to be able to make a driver or a team pit for a 30-second stop. That kind of represents the car breaking down and them having to fix it. It's the best we can really do to try to break a car in the middle of a race, but should be a really exciting race. Going to be a multi-class race with the street stocks and the mini stocks at Sonoma Short, where the Cup cars race. Seen a few cars out on track. It looks like it's going to be a blast. I know a lot of drivers have already been testing and said it's actually a lot of fun, so should be a really exciting event to participate in and even more exciting to watch.
It certainly will be. You'll have myself and Richard. We're going to be our own team as well as up in the booth at the same time. So we will be having laps, funs, and we hope to have you guys out there enjoying the show in ways to help out. Again, that's the 4 hours of lemons this Saturday here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you like to race or just find ways to participate and be involved, go check out the Freaky Fast Broadcasting community server on Discord. As the race moves on, less than 30 laps to go. The difference, less than 2 seconds between our leaders. And like that, Larry Yingling, no more laps left on fuel. He needs to make his stop, which gives the lead to the teammate of the 67 of the 3 of Ryan Kelly. But that gap, less than a second and a half. It looks to be a little bit more in danger. Ryan Kelly was struggling to stay ahead of Jake Nichols and John Forbes, just being a 1-lap difference on tires. This time, it's a 2-lap difference between Ryan Kelly and Jake Nichols. It's a 3-lap difference between John Forbes and Ryan Kelly. I don't see how this 3 can hold back the speedy 7 and 73, but this is all on Ryan Kelly, who's found some magic these last 3 races. What do you got, Kelly, to have a little bit more to hunt for this championship?
Yeah, Ryan Kelly's been extremely impressive this chase for the championship so far. I mean, 2 out of 3 races he's won, got 2nd place in the other one he didn't win. But tonight, I mean, it's going to be a lot on the line for him to try to hold off the 7 and 73 machine, who have newer tires than him and have just had better long-run pace. But Ryan Kelly, he tends to find some magic later in these races, later in these runs, and we do know him very well for being able to save tires extremely well. So we'll have to see if he's got anything left in the bank and be able to defend the number 7, who is rapidly catching him.
Hey, speaking about rapidly, here's the rapid lap down car of Chuck Sweeting utilizing some fresh rubber and just showing the major difference between the 57 who just pitted 5 laps ago compared to those that pitted 15 to 18 laps ago. And that is going to be hurting the 3 of Ryan Kelly just a little bit, as he had to drive a higher entry than I think he wanted to. And that is a major loss of time. Now less than 2/10 the difference. The 7 of John Forbes pounding the rear bumper, trying to find the opening. Finally able to get to the inside quarter panel as they cross the line. Larry Yingling once again passes the lap, but it's the 7 of John Forbes. Wants the lead, gets the lead, and it wasn't even a close fight as John Forbes to the top of the leaderboards. Jake Nichols, what do you have? Because right now, the 73's got older tires than Forbes, but Forbes is burning off the rubber to get this lead and trying to pull away.
Forbes just trying to clock in and check out as he gets around the number 3 pretty easily. He's now just got to kind of run away with this if he possibly can and hope that Jake Nichols isn't saving too much and trying to catch him in the later part. Ryan Kelly, though, he is still trying to stick next to the number 7, not give him a massive gap, see if he's got anything left in that tire life of his. But John Forbes doing a great job kind of pulling away right now and extending that gap to almost a half a second already over the number 3.
And now I'm going to be just trying to pull even further ahead of the rest of the field. Battle for 4th going to be between Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge. They continue to go back and forth as they're side by side, and have a little bit of lap traffic ahead of them as Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge trying to get this pass completed before they find a way to get by the 00 Brian Noel. As Noel is already pitted, I believe he's got fresher tires and trying to pull away from this battle that's happening for 4th place. As they continue on with this duel, a second back from them is the 1 of Gavin Rogers. Here's another battle that's happening. This is 9th place between Ollie Fonseca and Douglas Newbigging, which Newbigging, after all of his slipping and sliding, Ollie trying to fight and be aggressive early on in a run. 24 in the 77, top 10 might be calling their names if they're able to survive these final 19 laps.
Great run from Ollie and Douglas themselves. They're back to battling at each other. But right now, right around Gavin Rogers and the number 8 machine of Brian McCann. Brian McCann is running faster laps than Gavin Rogers with, it's 3 lap different tires as well. Brian McCann's got some newer tires than Gavin, so he should be able to catch him and get around him fairly easily. But Gavin Rogers, 5 spots back, sitting back in the 6th position right now. He's just been struggling in the later stages of this race.
Where can you make a pass? Where can you make a move? And the 8 machine of Brian McCann, fresher tires, and that's kind of the first time I felt like we've been able to say that all night long. Then the 1 of Gavin Rogers trying to make the move on the inside groove. And just like that, Brian McCann utilizing the fresh rubber that enables him to really breeze on by, even on the inside. Now we're going to dive into turn number 1, nose ahead. Full car ahead, sliding in front of the 1 machine, and Brian McCann, another position for himself, up to 6th place. And with the tire advantage that this 8 currently has, he might grab a couple of more spots as Talmadge, right ahead of him, is the next driver on the docket. Speaking about on the docket, Ryan Kelly, better watch out. Jake Nichols is closing in on these final 16 laps, and I think for Ryan Kelly, might have been aiming towards it's between me and the 3 and the 73 on who's going to win this race. Maybe there wasn't a sign that John Forbes was going to be the true victor of note. But look at that. John Forbes is continuing to pull away. And the 3 of Kelly just trying to slow down this bleeding as much as possible with these final 15 laps of tonight's race.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly is doing what he can. He won't be able to catch up to John Forbes, I do not think, just looking at their times. He was a little faster than Jake Nichols the lap prior, but this lap they just crossed and he was almost 2/10 slower than Jake Nichols. So Jake Nichols is catching him in a hurry, and Ryan Kelly's just bleeding way too much time. I think it's just a matter of a few laps for Jake Nichols to get up to the bumper of the number 3 and make his move to get around for 2nd place.
And we saw John Forbes when he rapidly caught up to the 3, made the pass, tried to build out the gap. And I'm looking at these lap times. Now that go around a little bit more equal between the 73 and the 7, but the lap prior, Jake Nichols actually had the faster lap of our top 3 by about a 10th. So I don't think Nichols is fully out of this thing, but he's now going to figure out, how do I get by the 3 as soon as possible to even give myself an attempt and a chance to run down the 7 with 14 laps to go. I don't think this race is fully over just yet, but John Forbes, all he has to do is just keep putting down good laps. Don't overcook these tires. Don't get them too warm, and you've got a chance to get into victory lane. While Nichols has all the pressure at this moment in time. He's got the older tires. He's got a driver to get by, and then all of this time to run down this 7. It's all on Nichols to try to find a way to win this race.
Yeah, I think John Forbes is in a great position right now to just kind of run his race. Do not, like you said, do not overdrive that car. Make Jake Nichols overdrive his car, trying to get around Ryan Kelly, then chase you down. Now, Jake Nichols, we have seen him actually overdrive his car a little bit. We saw some cracks in his armor before where he gets a little loose overdriving the car. So it's not an impossible thing for Forbes to make Nichols do, but Nichols is still got to get around Ryan Kelly, still 2/10 back, still in a good striking spot, but he is still 1.3 seconds back from John Forbes.
Watching the difference, watching the time. An advantage is going to Nichols. He is slowly chipping away at this lead. Last lap, 2/10 was the difference between Nichols and John Forbes. And that's even running down and getting this close to Ryan Kelly. Kelly is losing time, but that last go around, both Kelly and Nichols were faster than John Forbes. And now the difference is less than a second. Forbes is losing time to second and third.
Yeah, Forbes is just losing a little bit of time. He could just be saving his tires, getting them cooled off a little bit. But Ryan Kelly, Jake Nichols, again, a 10th, 2/10 faster than John Forbes. Jake Nichols, though, is trying to make a move on Ryan Kelly. Going to look low and challenge going down the backstretch. Not able to get to the side of him right now, but he might make an attempt going into turn 3. He's going to stay high. So is Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly's not going to give him that line, but Jake Nichols, that late apex move that he's been doing quite a bit, going to have the run out of the turn and down the front stretch. He should be able to get around the number 3 machine going into turn 1.
We're going to keep our camera here watching the battle for second place because Nichols is trying to find a way to fully clear and then run down the 7. But I want to give a note on the battling going on for our 10th place. If we might have a caution, it's either going to be for this battle for second or it might be the battling for 10th between Ale Fonseca and Douglas Newbigging. They have been right on top of one another, almost making contact multiple times in the last 5 laps. Finally able to space each other out, and now it's just this battle for second that's underway. Closest battle on track, and honestly, it's for everything. Ryan Kelly does not want to lose any more time and ground on the 73 when it comes to points. This position could matter on a make or break on a championship. With Ryan Kelly ahead of Jake Nichols, he doesn't want to give any more points to the 73 than he already has here tonight. But Nichols, better tires, better run, finally clear, and here we go. 7 laps. Can the 7 hold on?
Yeah, you were saying this position could make or break a championship, and that is very true. Last season, Gavin Rogers won the championship by 1 point. It was 1 car separating him and the second place for the championship, and this could be the same thing happening tonight. Though it's not for the championship right now, but this position, Ryan Kelly could look back and say, man, if I stayed in front of Nichols here, I could have won this by the 1 point. Or Jake Nichols is like, I needed that spot, so I could have won the championship. But Nichols, he is still chasing down John Forbes, who is still bleeding time, and Ryan Kelly, he has got to get those tires cooled off and try to find the pace that he had while he was in front of Nichols, but he's going to be losing time also.
You're going to continue to watch these last couple laps. How much can you gain back? And with the pass, all of that battling, the heat that was put in for Nichols' tires, he lost a little bit of time and ground, but the advantage is really through 3 and 4. That has been the big gain for Nichols that he has over John Forbes. Forbes is better through 1 and 2. Nichols is better on the other half of the track. And that last go around, even with the passing going on, Nichols was faster by just a little bit less than a tenth. He needs to be quicker than that. With 5 laps to go, Nichols needs to put down quicker laps by almost 2/10 every lap if he wants a chance, or he'll run out of time. Up gets to turn number 4. Forbes looks good, and it's only by a 10th loss. You can keep at this rate, and Forbes, you're heading to victory lane for the 3rd time this season.
Yeah, Forbes is doing a great job. It's just managing his pace. Jake Nichols has got to find some speed. He's got to burn these tires down to catch up because he's running out of time. He's not catching what he is expected to catch. He is still a second behind John Forbes and only gaining about a 10th each lap. So with that, John Forbes is very much on a great set to win this race.
He's doing exactly what he needs to do. Another just couple of hundredths gain, not tenths. That is not enough. If you're Nichols, yes, you've got the slight advantage based off these last handful of laps, but that is not big enough. If you want to get into victory lane, John Forbes, this is exactly what you need to see. Kelly having not a winning day. Jared Talmadge outside of the top 5. It's just going to make these points battle even closer between our top 3. It might just turn it into a 2-horse race, and John Forbes gaining these points. I mean, he might be within 10 points going into North Wilkesboro next week, which is still a major gap based off the size of these fields that we've had, but it makes things a little bit more doable if they finish where they're at right now. 2 laps to go. Coming out of turn number 4, John Forbes. The gap big enough. You can coast practically and feel comfortable as they come across the line. It's your Sim Precision Prince white flag for John Forbes, and the rest of the field, Forbes is looking good.
Forbes in control of this race, gets the white flag coming out of turn 1 and 2. On pace to win this race, and this will help his chances at winning the championship and make it even that closer and more reasonable for him to win.
Well, it's not nailed in just yet. He still has a chance. And John Forbes, this could be the rallying cry that I can go for a 2nd championship. He drifts it across the line. John Forbes, 3rd win of the season, 1st of the chase. Welcome back to victory lane for the 7 machine of John Forbes. And it makes things just a little bit more interesting. Nichols 2nd, Kelly 3rd, and Jarrett Talmadge able to sneak away with a top 5 finish at the very end, which helps him a little bit, but the gap builds for Kelly to at least hold on to the points lead. He should have the points lead after tonight, but man, what a run by the 7 of John Forbes.
Yeah, John did a fantastic job tonight, was able to control that race to his advantage. He pit at the right times. He was able to manage the tire wear and the life in those tires, able to keep the grip underneath him, and was able to best Jake Nichols for a 3rd time this season. Congratulations to John Forbes.
John Forbes going to be enjoying this one, as we will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3, John Forbes, Jake Nichols, Ryan Kelly, and get their thoughts. Is this the new top 3 in points leaving Charlotte? Well, we'll find out, as the points will get updated as well once we're doing interviews. We'll be back for the post-race show right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Season 12 chase race number 4 is in the books, and we head to victory lane. It's sock to a past champion and a driver that now we can confirm he's not fully out of the championship hunt with this win. We've got John Forbes Jr. with us. John, congratulations on this win. We had a feeling it was going to come down to when do you pit, and you hit the perfect timing of having the tire advantage over your competition. How are you feeling, though, coming away with your 3rd win of the season?
Yeah, thank you guys. It was a really fun race overall. It was pretty nice how the car drove. You could experiment with different lines. Like we saw Jake on the bottom pretty much the whole night. And I was kind of playing around with the bottom, but I really fell in love with just the middle, kind of riding in the middle of the 2 seams in the middle of the racetrack. So that was kind of my favorite line for the night. So luckily, a lot of the guys up front, they weren't really taking advantage of that. So it kind of helped me with the clean air, and it was a battle all night. Didn't have the best qualifying position, and with just the competition here and the low car count, it's really hard to gain points. So I mean, just having a stellar night tonight with the win, it didn't give me back too much, but it keeps me right there. So anything can happen these last couple of races, but yeah, it definitely was about when you want to come and pit. I feel like this season as a whole, since the car change, it's really been about the overcut, and we saw Ryan Kelly get a win, a few wins by doing that strategy the last couple of weeks, and I was right behind him for a few of those, so just didn't have it work out for me. But tonight it did, and I felt like it was on the right strategy. Ryan came in early, and Jake came in the next lap. So I was like, all right, I'll take my chances. They're really racing each other for the championship at this point. So I was like, I'll take my chances to go an extra lap. I mean, it can't hurt. And yeah, it definitely was the right strategy. Jake had a little bit of trouble getting off of pit road. I don't know what happened with that, but when I got out of pit road back on the racetrack, he was only like a second ahead. So I was like, I think the strategy here, I knew Jake was probably going to save and try to get me late in the race. So for me, I was like, I'm just going to go as hard as I can, not overdrive the car, but just be right on that limit. And I think I found that, reeled Ryan in, and from there, it was just waiting to see how much Jake had left in the tank, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, John, back in victory lane for the 3rd time this season, and like it was mentioned, it puts you in a good spot for the championship. Still, I mean, huge, honestly, pretty huge gain because of the win of the race as well. How are you going to look forward to North Wilkesboro next week, being probably less than 10 points behind the leader?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I really don't remember how this car drove, but I do remember the short tracks are a lot of fun with it. So I hope it's pretty loose like it was tonight. It's just finding that limit. And North Wilkesboro, it's been kind of hit or miss for me. It depends on the car and the track. But with this being a car, it is a little bit less aero based. You really can move around, and it's really based on how smooth your inputs are. So I don't think I'm out of it by any means, but it's going to be a climb. And I mean, I feel like I perform best when I'm put back into a box, and last week was just disaster. I came down pit road and didn't have the fuel checked, and didn't realize till the stop was already done. And of course, we never got the caution. So I mean, that just a mistake on me, and I got to come back from it. But it's something that keeps me motivated going into the next few weeks. And honestly, I think I like that position better than being like the points leader by just a few points, because then you're racing like somebody else instead of like trying to win the race overall. So I like being creative with strategy and trying to find a way around that nobody else is. So that's kind of just my mentality for the next few weeks.
Well, John, up points have just been updated. You are officially 10 points back from Ryan Kelly, which, like I said, you're not fully now out of it. You're still far ways back. You need a little bit of help, but Your championship hunt is not officially over. I said during the broadcast, you kind of had a quietly good season. I know it hasn't been one of your dominant seasons in the past, but how would you categorize yourself so far with the fact that you've now gotten your third win, 9 top 5s, 15 top 10s? I mean, it has been a quiet, good season from our point of view.
Yeah, it's kind of been up in the air. I really don't know what to expect coming into each week. I have a lot of other commitments outside of iRacing right now, and then even with Road to Pro and stuff, like when I can get a few minutes on the sim, I'm usually practicing for that. So that's kind of just been how life's been the last few months. So this league, I'm not saying it's to the wayside, but it's still something I definitely want to be competitive in. So, but it's something I can't put as much time into. So I kind of show up each week and just kind of feel it out. And this car, just with me having experience in it, with the when it used to be ARCA and stuff, and running a lot of that, I feel like I can kind of hop in and kind of know what to expect more than other tracks and in car combos. Um, so yeah, just it's kind of weird. I've had 3 wins, but I don't feel like I've performed that well, like each week to be able to do that. But I mean, just there's every few weeks I'll just strike one and then strike another and then strike another. So um, I don't think that's going to win us the championship. I mean, a quiet season through the playoffs is definitely not going to get me there. So just going in the next few races, I know I pretty much need to win. So it's a big task, but I don't think it's impossible. It's a tight field, but anything can happen.
That certainly is not impossible. We know you can just rattle off wins here if it's needed. John, congratulations on the victory here tonight at Charlotte. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, I seem to think everybody at Lucky Ducks. It's been fun racing with these guys all season. I mean, we've been almost winning every single race this season between me and Jake and a few of the other guys getting some wins here and there. But yeah, always fun racing with them. Nice and respectful, even though it's hard. We're always up front racing each other, and I've talked about that before. But yeah, with the tire lottery and stuff, the tire pitting and stuff being a little different tonight made the passes a little bit easier. But anything you guys put on broadcast and all the friends and family watching back at home.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight in the 7 machine of John Forbes. John, congratulations on the victory. Enjoy this one, and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place. We talked to the driver that we thought maybe would have had a chance to run down John, but will run up just a little bit shy of Jake Nichols. Jake, still no win in the chase just yet, but this was a good performance just watching as a whole race combined. How are you feeling, though, coming away second here tonight?
Um, I don't know. I feel good. I mean, we got obviously a point on Ryan, which is cool, but just a little mistake exiting pits lost us like a second because it was just a slide and you lose all your momentum off pit road. And I think without that, I think we do win the race. Who knows? You can't predict it. I mean, we would have had a battle for sure with John having a lap fresher, I think. So it would have been a good battle. But either way, I just ran my pace all race and didn't worry about anything. And it's not really what I like to do. I kind of just want to go and send it and everybody run 110% every lap and see who's best on that day. But we'll still take a second and almost got most laps led. We came up short on that. We came up just short of the pole and just short of the win too. But either way, it's going to be right there, right behind Ryan going into the last 2 races, and especially with North Wilkesboro, it's going to be unpredictable. I don't know how it's going to go. It could be just as clean as these last few have been, but you never know. It could be a lot of wrecks. So hopefully we can go there and bring a little bit of momentum and survive it.
Yeah, great to have you back up in the booth since the chase has started, Jake. It's been, different not seeing you take home a win again. You said you were really excited for the start of this chase. A lot of the tracks suited your driving style. I mean, a lot of the guys have stepped up their skill as well at the start of this chase. But we're going to North Wilkesboro, the only short track. How do you feel going into that track tomorrow next week?
Pretty good. I think the closest we've had to a short track was New Hampshire in terms of cornering speed and using brakes on entry. And I mean, that was the one that got away just because of the late race yellow out of nowhere. That didn't really have to happen. But if we can drive like we did there and it's a clean race, I think we'll be in a good spot. But that's really how I'm going to try to focus on and drive. I don't know if it's the newer version of North Wilkesboro or the older, but either way, I think I'm pretty good there overall. And hopefully we can just bring our speed and run our pace, and this time get a win.
I do believe that we should be going to the newer version, but yeah, don't
Sweet,
quote me
sweet.
on that one. I'm just basing that off of what we see on the schedule. But Jake, this has been an incredible season overall. Talking about pit strategies and the ways that you're coming into pit road, we saw tonight you had a couple of dramatic entries of coming into pit road with it smoking like crazy. We saw a couple of drivers have issues coming into pit road. What is it like trying to figure out these pit stops? I feel like that's one of our favorite questions to ask you, but what are the ways that you try to minimize maybe mistakes on pit entry and exit?
Well, I've raced at some of these tracks so much, you kind of just have a feel for it. I don't. So there are some tracks I kind of look at a spot. Here, it's kind of hard. There is a Charlotte logo on the wall, but we do brake a little deeper than that. So you pretty much get there and well, I'm about to start hitting the brakes. But the first, I think it was the first time in, when Gavin was behind me, I kind of braked a little early, and I was like, well, let me let out of the brake a little bit so I can make up time. And I had to slam on it to not overshoot. And we made it just perfect, and it felt sick. I mean, I love just sending it in there and hoping it works. And I think tonight I was a little more aggressive than I typically am. Sometimes I'll have the one off where it's crazy going in, but I think tonight all of them were kind of like that, which was nice. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you're trying to find a good balance in without pushing too hard, but um, really at the end of the day, we're just trying to at the end of the day, you're just trying to hold the gap. If you're 6 tenths behind a guy, you don't want to be too far behind him. You don't want to let him get away from you. But tonight we did pretty good with that overall. I think exit was really the killer overall, but we'll take it.
Well, Jake, congratulations on second here tonight and leaving a second in the points. And before we let you go officially, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Well, thanks to everyone at Lucky Ducks Motorsports. We had a good night, obviously with John winning and myself in second. Stand Up to Cancer and No Kid Hungry, JWR Race Cars. We got Coddle Chassis, Tiltify, Americares on board. And thanks to everyone at WSSR. It's been a fun season so far. Elwood Designs, of course, and you guys as well for broadcasting and enjoying the show and making a great show of it for sure, especially if we do have more of a, single file kind of race. You guys do a great job and put on a show with us. So thank you. And thanks to everyone watching, and hopefully we can end the season strong and maybe win a race, maybe win a championship.
Well, we're hoping for the best for you, Jake. Congratulations on second here tonight. Enjoyed it and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third to talk to the third place finisher, but first place leaving in points here tonight by 4 points. It's Ryan Kelly. And Ryan, at one moment early on in this race, I was getting a little bit concerned for you as you were all the way back around that 7th, 8th position, but you slowly marched your way forward, then was leading at times. I mean, how are you feeling after this roller coaster of an evening that came away third?
Yeah, definitely happy to come away with P3 after the roller coaster of a race. We got a little nervous there at the start. Was just struggling on the long run tonight, and usually that's one of my better strengths. But yeah, just I'm struggling to figure it out tonight, and just tried to undercut them on the pit stops to get the track position. And yeah, I think Jake and John had me covered, but still happy with P3.
Yeah, still a great finish for yourself, Ryan Kelly, and it does look like you still maintain the points lead, even though by 4 points over Jake Nichols. I mean, how does that feel going into the last two races? Does it make you feel a little bit more nervous, or are you just going to take each race as calm as you can?
Yeah, just take each race as calm as I can. I am a little nervous, not gonna lie. I mean, they're great drivers, and I've definitely struggled a little bit at North Wilkesboro. So I think if I can just get through that one and maybe maintain the 4 point lead, I'll definitely be confident for Homestead. But yeah, definitely a little nervous for for next week.
Well, Ryan, the talking point for tonight with the amount of pit stops everyone had to do was trying to find that balance of when do you want to undercut, overcut a driver. And we saw that you and your teammates all were trying different strategies. What is that like as a team, trying to figure out the best strategy for yourself and then also for the teammates around you?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because we talk about it in practice and figure out what we think is going to be the best. But usually, by the time the race comes, it all goes out the window, and it just happens to be where we are on track and who you're racing. And yeah, last week I tried to staying out long strategy, and that seemed to be working better for me. But this week I was just struggling, so tried to switch it up, and yeah, happy it just carried me to third place tonight.
It certainly did carry you to a position that was great for yourself. Ryan, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, just my teammates tonight, and everyone putting on the league, and you guys putting on a great show, and some family watching. So shout out to them too, and looking forward to next week.
Can't wait for it. That's going to be the three machine of Ryan Kelly leaving tonight as the points leader. And we'll also finish out with a third place finish here at Charlotte. Congratulations on that, Ryan, and good luck at North Wilkesboro next week.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
As that will be the three machine of Ryan Kelly. And that will be your top three leaving here from Charlotte. Certainly an eventful night of pit stops, but not eventful with cautions. Caution free all the way through, and that is becoming a regular thing here the last couple of weeks. Last time we really had one of those late cautions. Look back to the way we started the chase. But tonight, it's John Forbes taking the win, just under a second gap over Jake Nichols as we bring up the unofficial results. Third place goes to the three of Ryan Kelly. But drivers that really stepped up their game late, Vincent Sora, after his kind of a fall apart moment of having to get held up by Ben Keeney, he was able to rebound for fourth. Jarrett Talmadge comes away fifth. I think a lot of it more expected from the 27 here tonight. Brian McCampbell will fall down to sixth place. Gavin Rogers got the pole, but wasn't able to solidify himself up front. He'll stay in seventh. Eighth was Thomas Green. Yeah, also going to be seeing Larry Yingling ninth. And finishing out our top 10, Ollie Fonseca able to hold that position over Douglas Newbigging. Congratulations to that 24 team.
Yeah, congratulations. Strong run for Ollie Fonseca, squeaking out a top 10 tonight. Cedric Hunter, the 13 Hello Kitty, back in the 12th position. And Zach Hall, another unfortunate race for him. Just a really bad pit entrance kind of ruined his race. Decided to call it an evening with 43 laps to go. But Zach Hall rounding out 17th position. Unfortunate to see him.
As that's going to be your 17 drivers here this evening. I know Chris Stitz was hoping to race here tonight. He showed up just a little bit late, but looking at the point standings after tonight, 4 drivers look to be solidified, still in the hunt of 5th, barely hanging on. And those 4 drivers going to be Ryan Kelly leaving here tonight as the points leader. Jake Nichols going to have a 4-point behind to Kelly. Kelly then will have a 6-point advantage over Jarrett Talmadge, 10-point advantage over John Forbes. Driver just latching on is Brian McCann, 15 points out, and then 6th all the way down to 16th in points. They kind of look out of it completely. That's Vincent Sora, who will be 26 points back. 35 points back is Gavin Rogers. It's not looking great for them. They might need these drivers that are up front in the points to not even show up, and maybe then you'll close in on the gaps. But Richard, the chase is slowly coming away. Just 2 more races left before the season is over.
Yeah, 2 more races left, and if anything's, with short track racing, we should expect a lot of fireworks next week, and that can completely change the point layout for the final race of the season. Like you were saying, though, a lot of those guys past the 5th spot, they've got to hope for a miracle if they want a chance at hoisting that trophy at the end of the season.
They're going to need perfection for these last couple of races and a massive heartbreak, just mechanical failures for all the other drivers. But hey, if you're talking about mechanical failures, hey, we might have some fun to watch out for Saturday night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the 4 Hours of Lemons at Sonoma. Again, if you'd like to be participating in that, remember to check out Freaky Fast's Discord, our community server. And if you'd like to just enjoy the watch of the hectic madness that we are going to be having on Saturday, come join us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We are excited for the racing action. But for tonight, it's been a pleasure to give you the call. Caution free for 160 laps here at Charlotte. Next week, North Wilkesboro. Richard, any final thoughts for tonight before we call it an evening?
Man, no, tonight was another fantastic race by all the drivers. Let's just hope that the tempers don't boil over next week when we go to a half-mile flat track of North Wilkesboro.
Who will survive the short track? We'll have to find out and see. But for tonight, congratulations to John Forbes Jr. for getting the victory. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else from Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on your Wednesday evening. If you're watching this thank you so much for rewatching and joining the show, as it was a wild one of multiple pit stops, different aspects of drivers just having mistakes at times. Did you need to pit early? Did you need to pit later? So many different options that you had, but ultimately it was John Forbes with the tire advantage that found himself in victory lane for chase race number 4 of the season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. We got 2 races left to see who's hoisting the championship. 5 drivers still in the hunt. Ryan Kelly, Jake Nichols, Jared Talmadge, John Forbes, Brian McCann. Will we have a first-time champion? Could we have a driver getting his second? It's on the line with these final 2 races, and we cannot wait to give you the coverage next week at North Wilkesboro for this penultimate race of the season. But before that, we'll see you Saturday. It's the 4 Hours of Lemons at Sonoma. Cannot wait for the wild shenanigans that we will have that on track. We'll see you then at Sonoma on Saturday for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame. Cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. It's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here?